All right, everybody. Shane Miller here, CrossFit 819, here with my trusty sidekick, Coach B. And we've got a new guest videographer today. You want to just turn that around and say hello, Vanessa? No?
You'll see her in the view.
It might have a big mirror. I just hold it like this. No mirror. Okay. Today we're going to be talking about handstand strength and the skill progressions that are going to enable you to go from I can't do anything to eventually doing a full handstand at the wall. All right. First thing, safety. Okay. It's very important to develop the shoulder and core strength before you go through the progressions. Okay. Or at least you want to build the strength as we go through these progressions, right? And the first thing is that at any point in time, dumbbell shoulder presses, just regular dumbbell shoulder presses are a fantastic way to make sure that your shoulders are strong. We're gonna go through this series here. We're gonna talk about keeping your core engaged for making sure that your back is safe. And then after that, we're gonna actually talk about the skill progressions for the handstand itself. We're going to go through a whole bunch of different things here to show you how to make sure that you do it safely and effectively. Okay? So, first one.
Let's start with dumbbell shoulder press. So these are the two, let's say, bases that we want to rely on before we start doing handstand stuff. This is the shoulder press. This is a very nice position that we like to start with because it's seated with no back to a seat. You want to press up the dumbbells, finishing exactly in the middle. Here, go, boom, that's it. And then you lower just like if you have a bar in front, so you have your elbows in a front rack. And this is the tripod form that we will use also in the handstand push-ups and handstand holds. So go again one time. You see how his back is always straight. We try to keep a tight core, abs engaged, and I don't want to curve my back doing the presses. All right, that's it. You use a plate when you do this. If ever you have tight hips and you find yourself going back, so just for the sake of demonstration, can you do me one with your back tilting back? So if you find yourself going backwards, you use this to keep upright. That's it. So this is the dumbbell press. Moving on to holo holds, just so as an explanation to what a holo hold position would look like, we'll do one facing the wall. And you can see, this is what gymnasts call active tissue. So everything's tight, it's just like a crescent form, abs tight, core tight. You can feel your hamstrings that are tight. This is the form that you want to hold upside down.
Opposed to.
Yeah, you never want to curve your back in that form because this will basically expose your back, and then you do some couple handstand push-ups, and then you have back pain for a week. All right. Now we're moving on to first couple progressions. For first, getting used to being inverted, upside down, and second, to start building the confidence and the strength to do holds and eventually push-ups. Okay, so the first one that we're going to do is the downward dog banded. So you hook up a band up on a relatively high bar, and then you hook it to your center. You take that downward dog position, and then now here I want to create a triangle where I can put you put your hands a bit back, boom, that's it. So when you're pressing, the most stable position for presses is your head going through and then touches the floor with your top of your head and not your forehead, and then you press up, head through. This is the most stable position for pressing anything off your head, or if you're pressing yourself in a handstand push-up. Give me another one, and up, and press it through. Good, that's it. So, it's pretty safe, pretty easy, and the support of the band makes you confident that whatever goes wrong, you'll also support it.
I think we could also just add that even without the band, just doing a downward dog.
Yep.
Just holding that position, pushing your head and chest through is very good.
The most important thing is just to mimic the positions of the handstand push-up. Head through, back to the tripod. Feet elevated, downward dog. On a box or on the wall. So on a box, Now things are getting a little bit spicy, a little bit serious. Yep, we're doing knees first. So your knees go on the box, and then we're mimicking the position of a handstand push-up downstairs. So as you see, this is when I'm pressing up, and when I go down, I need to create that triangle with my head and my hands. So go down, and then press up, boom, there you go. Now let's try with feet on the box. So this is level 2. That's it. And then pressing up, head through, boom, there you go. That's it. Relax. After you feel confident and comfortable with this, you can easily transfer this movement to the wall. Okay? Now, before we start doing the wall, I want you to create a hollow position as if you're in a push-up, and you'll be facing this way. Okay. All right. So give me a solid hollow hold position. Boom. That's it. You can see the core is tight. Everything's active, tissue active, shoulder blades are active. And then now try to do a wall walk. And we're just going to do this for like 45 degrees. Now, doing wall walks and holds in this position, two things to remember. Every time you go up, the load will be more on the shoulders and less on the core. Every time you go lower, the load will be more on the core and less on the shoulders. All right? And the second thing you want to do, remember, I never want you to curve your back. And a note, if ever you find yourself unable to get that hollow position again after you lose it, please stop and go either lower or just go back to the box, a safer place to build your base. Good?
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks.
This off.
All right. Now we're moving to more spicier stuff.
And what we're going to do to get started is we're going to change camera people. And we're actually going to have our trusty camera person, Vanessa.
So I think that one. Yeah. So what are we doing here, Coach?
All right.
So we're starting with what's called headstand tripod.
And so the whole point of this, when you're going to start doing a handstand itself, there's going to be a lot of dynamic balancing that's required for you to be able to hold the position. And if you wait until you finally got the strength in the shoulders to do it, then you have had no experience working on that balance. So this is an excellent way to work on the balance before you get to that point where you actually are going to be on the wall.
Yep.
So go ahead, Vanessa, hands here. Your head's going to come down and she's going to put the top of her head, not the forehead. Okay? And she's, maybe move your hands back just a little. The better triangle, more of an isosceles triangle with equal length sides, it's going to be better than if it's a flat triangle.
Yep.
Okay? She's going to bring her knees forward towards her elbows. And as soon as she gets her balance, the key here is to think of moving by feeling your movement. Don't try to think about just pushing up. Feel and adjust your body based on what you're feeling. Okay? This is really good. Control a little slower. That's okay. So as soon as you start to feel like you've got it and you start to move more quickly, because it is fatiguing, that's when your balance becomes an issue, right? Because moving quick can easily put you out of balance. So can you try one more time? This time just think of going a little more slowly, okay? Okay, slow, slow, slow. And I'm right behind you in case you're gonna go back. Slow, go slow. Try to make it smooth, smooth. Very good. And then try to get rid of the arch in the lower back a little by contracting your core. That's good. Bring your legs a little straighter if you can. Very good. Tight, tight abs. And
nice.
Slowly, slowly. Good.
That's it.
Okay. So this movement here allows you to practice using your core to create balance.
Yep.
When you're doing a handstand, a lot of your balance comes through your fingertips first, and then the shoulders, and then the core. But this here allows you to practice trying to feel what moving your core a little bit does with your balance of your hips and legs. Okay?
Cool.
Thanks, Vanessa. So now we'll have Vanessa take over the camera duties again. All right. So that's the headstand tripod. All right. And that's the first thing that you want to practice doing. And you want to take your time on it. Don't worry about it if you can't get it for a few days, a few weeks. That's no problem. Just keep trying. Okay. The next one is pretty much, you know, the same kind of thing, except you're doing it at the wall. You know, there's a number of different ways that you can do this. One of them is to get a spot. Okay, so eventually you do have to kind of kick your legs a little bit, but when you come up, you grab someone's hips and you come up like this. Okay, so actually come back down just for a second. Right down. Sorry. Okay, that's right. Yep. Let's go back up again, and you help their hips up to the wall. Okay, and then this is the position here. Now, what we want to do from here is we want to have him move his hips off the wall. Get his core tight. We're not even going to try to balance necessarily. The idea is just to get used to that position and getting comfortable to get up in that position. Because at the beginning, just the idea of being upside down, it's a very strange, disorienting feeling. Okay? And when you want to come down, just bring your hips back a little. Yeah. And then you can, even if you fall back to the wall with your hips, it's fine. Okay? No problem with that?
Yep.
All right. So that's your headstand at the wall. All right. The next one is the handstand hold at the wall. Okay, now going up to the wall, this is going to take some practice, but again, we can use a spotter to help. Okay, and the spotter always is going to go from the hips. Okay, so we kind of reach over.
All right. So I'm
So
gonna
go ahead like this.
like here.
And he's going to kick his legs. That's right. Okay. Now, one thing that's important, if you can bring the camera around to the side, just right around the side there, you're going to notice that his hips sit right on top of his shoulders. Okay, come on down for a second. When you're trying to go up to the wall, I mean, a lot of people, just put your hands on the ground for a second. They are afraid of getting their body to come up like this.
Yep.
And so what they do is they think of just kicking their legs and not moving their body up. So just kick your legs. Right? Well, you can do it really, really well anyway, but if you don't move your hips up as much,
okay,
you just kick the legs, yeah, that's what happens. People do this and they kick all over the place and they don't never make it up. So you got to tuck your head under and bring your hips up. So go ahead and kick. Up. There, oh, one more time. All right. Okay. Now from the side, you can see here, he's got a really nice straight line from his feet through his hips to his shoulders. Now just overarch your back for a second. This is what you're gonna see a lot of times, and this is really bad, okay? This is what we want. And you do this by crunching your abdominals. It's just like an abdominal crunch. And his head and chest are pushed through, so he's in alignment. Okay, put your head back. Avoid this position, especially if you're gonna be there for any length of time, get cramps in your neck, okay? This is a great position, right? I'm gonna go ahead and come down. Okay. Now, another thing is that sometimes the idea of being up there and your head being way off the ground is a little bit scary. So we can use risers so that if you did have a problem, your head is only this far off the ground. So go ahead. Whoops, he's right on it.
Well, yeah.
You want to just take that?
Is it for short people?
Yes. I got all those because I was thinking of myself. So here, he's only got like 2 inches. So even if his arms got a bit weak and he came down, now he's in the headstand position that he's already comfortable with because we learned this earlier. This is why it's important to learn how to do the headstand and what it feels like so that if you do buckle with your handstand, that you just, oh, and I'm used to this, I know how to come down. Ah, he's pushing back up. Okay, so come on off for a second. All right, so that was the handstand hold at the wall. Safety, okay? The idea of a handstand, we have locked elbows, but at a certain point, okay, if you do buckle, the risers are there, but eventually we want to do handstand push-up. And so you're going to need to have a certain amount of strength in your shoulders and your arms to be able to push up. So we want to develop that, not only with dumbbells, doing presses, but we want to develop it when you're in the upside position. And the best way to do it, because you can't just push up and practice, combination of with the band in the downward dog, but also doing negatives. Okay, so let's get you up on the wall again. Okay. And so from this position, he's in a great position. He's just going to come down, all right? And now he can push up from here. He's strong, but if he couldn't, so just come down.
Oh yeah. So this is my negative.
Yeah, he comes down. You see, so he actually. Now he wasn't just falling; he was actually controlling it. Okay. And once he can do that, he practices, X number of sets and reps. Then he goes a little higher, and then he does it again. Control on the way down. He's controlling it slowly, and that will build up that strength. Now he still can't push up. He's going to come down more, and lowering the risers could be done over weeks and months, not necessarily like one set after the next. Okay, good. Then down to ground zero, so to speak. Bring it down. Okay, come on down. Now that he can control it all the way to the floor, let's say that he can do 5 or 6 reps controlled like that, we can go back to here, and now he's going to be able to do multiple, he's going to be able to do the negative and the press out. Okay, so go ahead. So it comes down, press. Come down, press. One more. Good. Come on off. At this point, he's building up his volume in a range of motion that he can do properly with control. It's safe. We're going to reduce it again. Okay. Try again. Comes down, press. Comes down, press. One more. Good. And we can keep going down until we're right at the floor. Okay, so this is how you work on building up the strength, because there's no way you're going to be able to just come in, come all the way down, and press right out. Okay, so you just gradually bring it down over days, weeks, and months. Right? The next thing is the kip. Okay, so now that you've done the controlled negative, all right, to make sure that you are developing the strength required, the next thing to do is to introduce the kip. And the kip uses momentum to help get your body back up to the top. And we're going to again use a bunch of risers, and you keep the number of risers high at the beginning when your strength is lower, and you gradually reduce the risers as your strength goes up. Okay, so I'll put down, I think just this is enough. That's probably enough. Okay. All right.
You want to do negative or you want a regular one?
Yeah.
Negative?
Negative first. All right. So he comes down to the bottom. All right, so from here, he lets his hips go back to the wall. He brings his knees down to his chest. Okay, knees come down. Now, if he stops with his, a lot of people will bring the heels to the butt like this, and they just try to kick up like this. But when you kick from here, you're missing out on a lot of range of motion, and that will help with momentum a lot if you come down first. Bring him right down to the chest, nice and low, and then you kick hard. Good. Now, if he's not used to having his knees come all the way down, that sometimes results in you falling off. That just takes some practice, and then you'll get back. So if you've been coming down and stopping with your thighs parallel, and then all of a sudden you come down trying our suggestion, you find yourself falling off the wall, doesn't mean it's not a better way to do it, just means you have to take more time and practice doing it. Okay, so let's go back up again. Okay, now the sequence is important too, so he's gonna come down. He has to make sure that he finishes his extension of his hips before he presses with his shoulders. It should go hips, shoulders. Okay, come on down. So it's down, hips, shoulders. And you can see it's like a 1-2. He's not pushing with his shoulders at the same time as he's extending his hips. It's 1-2. Always the head and shoulders coming through. Nice tight core. Awesome. Okay, come on down. All right, now, if your shoulders are very, very tight, okay, one thing that we don't want to see, you can just go up into a handstand. Yeah, go up into a handstand with your hands out a bit. Yeah, some people who have really tight shoulders, we see that they're excessively arching their back because they just don't have that range of motion in the shoulders. If you're someone who has really tight shoulders, you want to make sure that you're not forcing yourself into the range of motion that's unsafe. You can see that arch too much, right? Now he's got a good range of motion in the shoulders and he's strong in the core, so tighten your core a bit more now, okay? So all of a sudden he's straighter through here, much better, okay? Good job. All right, so that's pretty much everything that we're gonna go through today. So Coach Bowder, thank you very much.
Yeah, sure. Last thing was, just a note on the side, don't forget, with handstand push-ups also comes a very good warm-up and very good wrist mobility. For that, we'll have another video.
We'll cover that on another video.
Also, and if you're interested or you have questions or suggestions for very good wrist mobility drills or videos, just comment below.
Thanks very much, guys. Thanks, Vanessa.
Thanks, Vanessa.
All right, see you.